Hey, everybody. All right, so this week we have been talking still about self control, and we have been talking about our story in our text. I have ants in my pants. Now, the kids, you guys love this. And so I wanted to make this where you can listen to it over and over and over because you absolutely love the story. And we know that the story is not about real ants, that it's about when we just have to wiggle and we don't know how to control it. So it goes along with our self-control and what we've been talking about all month. So I hope you enjoy this story. It is I Have Ants in My Pants. My name is Louise, and sometimes people say I have ants in my pants. I've checked. I don't see any. On Friday at school, we were sitting on the rug listening to my teacher read a story. I did just fine sitting at first, but then my toes started to wiggle. My knees did the twitch. I laid down on the rug because my feet just had to kick. Oops, I accidentally kicked Courtney's leg, but I didn't do it on purpose. Louise, my teacher said, I think there must be ants in your pants. Please control your wiggles. I looked down at my pants. I couldn't see any ants. I wonder how they got in there. What if they're in my underwear? This can't be true. This can't be right. Ants in my pants. What if they bite? Louise, did you like the story? He wasn't paying attention. When we went to the cafeteria for lunch, we had to wait in line for like 59 minutes. My toes started to wiggle. My knees did the twitch. I slid down against the wall because my feet just had to kick. Oops, I accidentally tripped Principal Bumble. Oh no. Louise, you must have ants in your pants. Why don't you have lunch with me today and we can talk about personal space? I looked down at my pants. I don't see any ants. I wonder how they got in there. What if they're in my underwear? This can't be true. This can't be right. Ants in my pants. What if they bite? Louise, you need to eat your lunch. Aren't you hungry? So he was getting distracted again. After school, my family went to a movie to celebrate my sister Sylvia's birthday. She chose the most boring movie on the planet. By the time we got to the theater, I was starving. I'll have a large popcorn, a pretzel, some nachos, a box of candy, and a large drink, I told my mom. I think a small popcorn is plenty. Didn't you eat lunch today? I walked into the theater and I sat down in my seat. I picked up my popcorn and started to eat. If I wiggled just right, I could make my seat squeak. Squeak, squeak, squeak. I started out watching the movie just fine, but then my toes started to wiggle. My knees did the twitch. Uh-oh, I think we know what's coming. I leaned back in my chair because my feet just had to kick. Oops. I accidentally kicked the seat of the man who was sitting in front of me. Son, you must have ants in your pants. I'm sorry, sir. Then my mom whispered, Louise, please put your feet on the floor, sit up straight in your chair, eat your popcorn, and watch the movie. I looked down at my pants. I couldn't see any ants. I wonder how they got there. What if they're in my underwear? This can't be true. This can't be right. Ants in my pants. What if they bite? As soon as I got home, I ran to the bathroom to check for ants. Louise, you've been out there for over an hour. Is everything okay? Mom, I've looked and looked all over the place, and I don't see any ants anywhere. Louise, what are you talking about? Everyone says I have ants in my pants, but I've checked and I can't find any. Oh, no, Louise. The ants in your pants aren't real. People only say that when you need to sit really still. But Louise, remember, you are a verb. You know, a kid who's always doing something. And verbs have to move around. I can help you train your imaginary ants, the ones who cannot be found. How can you do that? How? So sometimes it's really hard for some of us who just cannot be still. We try really, really hard, but we just have to move. So his mom's going to teach us what to do. Well, first of all, when you know you're going to have to sit for a while, you need to get your wiggles out in advance. Try doing the wiggle dance. Wiggle and jiggle, jump up and down. Shake your hands and turn around. Take a deep breath, scrunch up your nose, wobble your knees, and wiggle your toes. Then, when you sit down, Louise, make sure you have room around you to move a little bit. Whenever you're a part of a group of people, you need a personal space bubble. Then, if you wiggle and jiggle too much, it won't get you into trouble. Also, don't forget your focus squishy. If you keep your fingers busy, you'll be able to pay attention. Remember, it's a tool, not a toy, and it can really help you listen. Oh, and finally, there's one more thing I forgot to tell you. Try hard not to talk while others are speaking. If you do, you won't hear what they say. Words cannot go in while others come out because our brain, your brain, doesn't work that way. If you can do all of these things, Louise, you can be the boss of your ants and you'll be the verb with self-control. Hey, that's our word for the week, guys. Self-control, or for the whole month of September. And those ants won't stand a chance. I thought about everything my mom told me, and I practiced doing the wiggle dance all weekend. On Monday, just before I went to sit on the reading rug, I wiggled and jiggled and jumped up and down. I shook my hands out all around. I took a deep breath and scrunched up my nose. I wobbled my knees and I wiggled my toes. I pulled my focus squishy out of my pocket and I sat down near the wall so my personal space bubble was bigger, just in case I needed it. I ended up doing pretty well, but halfway through the story, Richard's toes started to wiggle, then his knees did the twitch. He laid down on the rug because his feet just had to kick. Oops. Richard accidentally kicked me in the back, but I know he didn't do it on purpose. Richard, my teacher said, I think there must be ants in your pants. Please control your wiggles. Richard looked down at his pants, but he couldn't see any ants. I knew what he was thinking. He wondered how they got in there. What if they're in his underwear? This can't be true. This can't be right. Ants in my pants? What if they bite? Don't worry, Richard, I said. They aren't real. All right, so our story, ants in the pants. We know those ants are not real, but sometimes we just cannot be still, and that's okay. We have to learn ways to control ourselves. That self-control. We've been talking about it all of September. We've been practicing different ways to have self-control, and we're going to keep practicing because practice makes perfect. I hope you enjoyed this story. I hope you listen to it over and over, and I hope you learn to do that wiggle dance, that it might help you on the times that you just cannot be still. Have a great weekend. See you on Monday. Bye.